To God be the glory. Grand rising, a walk in their nation in America. Salute Nestorian king, men, clan, mothers, farmers, fisher folks, causeway, fisher folk, grand rising, free people. To God be the glory.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
Gratitude, my Lord.
Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Grand rising, free people. Happy Sabbath to all those who choose to practice. Give thanks. Give praises. Give thanks. May I touch upon the Universal Declaration on the rights of indigenous peoples. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, acronym U.N.D.R.I.P, was adopted by the General Assembly on Thursday, 13th September 2007. This document was adopted in 2007 for the rights of indigenous people by a majority of 144 states in favor, 4 votes against. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United States voted against this document, this specific rights for this specific group. And 11 abstention. That means them ones never bother show up. However, years later, 4 countries that voted against, which is, as we say, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United States, reversed their position and now support the United Nations Declaration. Today, the Declaration is the most comprehensive international instrument on the rights of indigenous peoples. It establishes a universal framework of minimum standard for the survival, dignity, and well-being of the indigenous peoples of the world, and it elaborates on existing human rights standard and fundamental rights and fundamental freedom as they apply to the specific situation of indigenous peoples. Now, I'm not sure if probably I overreach or I overthink this piece of information when I look at. Only because, I'm going to say, the United Nations Declaration was adopted in 2007. And then this very document where everybody place all kind of trust and all kind of legal argument on. This document, it is said to elaborate. You understand? It elaborates on existing human rights standard and fundamental freedom. Now, what would be the necessity or the need for this specific document if there is what is known as the Human Rights Charter or Declaration there? are them kind of question, yeah. You know, mother asks, and then I ask, who are these indigenous peoples? And remember, images, you know, them say a picture speak volumes. You know what I mean? And if we look at the images of what it is supposed to be indigenous people, them images do not portray I. So this is why when I hold my own views, I say you have some people where usurp other people's place. Why wouldn't it be rights of the Aboriginal or right of the Aborigines or right of Aboriginal people? Them thing are how me will just question, you know? Now, I go see if I can actually share this document here, you know? Yeah, man. Because people will talk about indigenous, and I always share my own opinion of what an indigenous person is. Now we are look at this website and it has a African history. Notice? Now it has a American Aborigines, first American. And that's a question mark. The question of whether Black American Aborigines were the first inhabitants of the America is quite intriguing. Native American Indians encountered by the first Europeans were the first when they first arrived in the Americas and also during the conquest of Native American nations in the interior of the American continent, and not Black American Aborigines that have long been considered as the first Americans, with the presence of Black people in America being largely attributed to the transatlantic slave trade. However, recent archaeological discovery and alternative history arguments suggest that the first Americans were Black Aborigines either from ancient Africa or the Pacific. Why we have to come from ancient Africa? Why we can't just exist just like how you just said the Australian Aborigines just exist there, and whoever is over there in Africa just exist there. Anyway, the argument that support the Black Aborigines, that Black Aborigines were the first inhabitant of the Americas, are based on alternative ancient prehistory, alternative ancient history, the Pacific Aborigine connection. And with us, this is a quick, synapse. So we say alternative ancient prehistory argument in support of Black Aborigines in the America. Listen, when you put Aborigines, you don't necessarily have to put Black there, because Aborigines, just that word in and of itself, denote the copper color people and that was found here. So, but I totally comprehend the highlight and being specific. The Olmec civilization has been used to support the argument that Aboriginal people were the first to inhabit the Americas. Black Aborigines, because I guess in certain places you're going to have, well, I can't even talk about the places women I know about. So we are focused right here. Of all the lost civilization of Mesoamerica, That of the Olmec is the oldest and most mystifying, exactly. God, them a come and tell we say we are everything else but who we are. We know very little about the Olmec, a mysterious culture considered by many as the mother civilization of Mesoamerica that laid the foundation for the Mesoamerican cultural tradition. Now, Zachariah Sitchin, I guess it's his book, The Lost Realms, you can find them information, yeah. In support of that argument that Black Aborigines were the first people of the Americas, alternative ancient history researchers on the subject of human origin and civilization like Graham Hancock and Zachariah Sitchin agree that the Olmec civilization of ancient America was built by African. How them know that? This is this is a kind of hijack where you have to watch. You understand? Because them come here and know say we were here and all of these things were here. How come now you gonna say, boy, where you come see here was built by someone else, somewhere else? You know what I mean? This is why I'm hold my own views. In the words of Hancock, I guess the fingerprint of the gods, that's a book. My own view is that the Olmec head present us with physiological accurate image of real individuals of Negroid stock, charismatic and powerful African men whose presence in Central America 3,000 years ago has not yet been explained by scholars. Now, again, this learned guy, am I right, and here where am I right, say, in his own view, his own personal opinion, you understand, is that I'm not sure, this is just theory. Olmec head present us with physiological accurate image of real individuals of, see it here, Negroid stock. So when them talk about the Olmec is what kind of stock? You understand? Because it look like then I have to be African, then what is that? You never know whether I reach a point where we can think for ourselves and come to our own conclusions. So when we say Aborigine, it's a specific group, what I'm called first people. And after the miscegenation or the invasion or the interaction with foreigners, that's when you see the creation of the different ones. If the Olmec civilization is one of the oldest here in Mesoamerica, then that are my stance higher. So now this writer go say, and the powerful African men. When you talk about Mesoamerica, ancient America, how African man come in ancient America? When you cannot, it is just your opinion. You understand? And these are the things where our people just take and run with. That's why you can hear a guy like Chief Curry I talk about for the Afro and the Indian. What are you saying? You are either Afro, where you go back at your place of Africa. You understand? And you can't claim Indian, because you don't claim you're Maroon and African descendant. This is how you people create confusion. You understand? And it's all about that illusion of that wealth where you say you think you can carry when you go to your grave. You understand? And the legacy when most of us leave what our ancestors shall pay for. So all of what we deal with in the public arena and those public statements, them there for the slave. Them there for the people them where think they're woke but fast asleep. You understand? And that's what me see out there. I see a lot of people out there where I say them wake and say them I do a whole bunch of things, but I smile. Because me I say, well, I must be sleeping, but I don't mind sleeping as I am. Because in this sleep, I'm a free man. You understand? And in this sleep, I can always say, I am a free man. I don't need no freedom from no foreign crown, from no foreign court, from no foreign organization. That's the difference with I. So all are you subjects of these foreign entities. You have no standing lawfully. You may can operate legally, but lawfully is something else. So when people talk about this indigenous and the UN United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, then who are these indigenous people? What make these indigenous people separate and distinct that the human rights that apply to all man, you know what I mean, doesn't apply to them where them are going to need a separate and specific kind of right. You know what I mean? What is that? And this is where them bring the confusion. This is how them displace us. This is how them try to take our land. This is the problem. But most of we not really focus on them kind of issue, you know. We're a little bit distracted. Now I'm going to jump again and say what we can look at real quick and fast. All right, this is a thing called the Treaty of Madrid, 1770. The Treaty of Madrid, also known as the Godolphin Treaty, adopted in July. Everything is adopted. In July 1670 was a treaty between England and Spain for the settlement of all disputes in America. Now, if this is America, I wonder why Spain and England having problem on a rare to say who can deal with around here. People not say what I go on say we was like a virgin place. We never have no kind of mix nor mingling, and these foreign entities just come and start war for the right to own the people here, the Aborigines here, as property. That's what all of them wars is about. And as time go by, them intermingle and mix with us and change the people. So when I'm gonna talk about indigenous rights, I'm like I can put a question mark on that and say, who are these indigenous people? Do these people have human rights, or are they saying they only want indigenous rights? What is that? You understand? So now we are looking at this treaty where it has England and Spain, you know, signed treaty for the settlement of all dispute in America. The treaty officially ended the 15-year-long war in the Caribbean in which England had conquered Jamaica. Hold on. The treaty officially ended the 15-year-long war in the Caribbean which would back in them time them call it our chiefdom. You know what I mean? In which England had conquered Jamaica. I never know Jamaica and England go at war. I thought it was Jamaica and Spain. The treaty is highly favorable to England as their ownership in the Caribbean Sea was confirmed by Spain. What? People, when I get this thing, remember, I was here before these foreign people come here. And Spain came here with the Moors from on Columbus in 1492, touched Haiti. 1494, they came to Jamaica. By 1509, they set up them structure and established themselves and said, boy, this place is called Santiago. For whatever reason, them can't maintain that kind of, hold on this land, because our people now really work with them. So this is how the next branch of the same tree look and say, wow, we can't go for that place there over there, so them can't manage it, and we have some more trinkets and all different kind of things. So this is when them enter our place now. And as we go forward, we can just look at them kind of treaty. Background. The Anglo-Spanish War had begun in April 1655. Anglo-Spanish War. In Europe, the conflict ended with the Treaty of the Pyrenees between France and Spain and Charles II's restoration in 1660. But a treaty was never signed. The conflict in the Caribbean, however, which began with the English failed attempt on Hispaniola and the subsequent capture of Jamaica, raged on longer. That means that the English did one around 80 Hispaniola area and couldn't get it from the Spanish. You get me? So them just come back around here, so where the Spanish not really have no stronghold per se. The region thus remained in a state of war, and privateer raids were launched on the Spanish Main led by buccaneers, notably Christopher Ming and Henry Morgan, under the behest of the Jamaica governor, Thomas Muddyford. As far as Muddyford was concerned, Jamaica would never be secure until Spain acknowledges England's position of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands and having it named in a treaty. So you see the association with Jamaica and Cayman. In 1667, the Treaty of Madrid was signed between England and Spain, although favorable to the former, which is England, in terms of trade. There was no mention of the American colonies or the Caribbean as rightful possession. Because of that, attack therefore continued, notably Henry Morgan's brutal attack on and sacking of Portobello and Maracaibo over the next 2 years. That means that Henry Morgan, a real old British warrior, because them now fight for Jamaica. Them time the British, I said them want around here. In 1669, Mariana, the Queen Regent of Spain, in response, ordered attack on English ships in the Caribbean. Charles II ordered Muddyford to issue official letters of marque against the Spanish. Official letters of marque. People have to hold on. See what that is. Since we're here real quick. So all of them foreign thing here go on in our place and we have nothing to do with it. It's just some foreign man with us, A letter of marque and reprisal was a government license in the age of sail that authorized a private person known as a privateer or corsair. Corsair, to attack and capture vessels of a nation at war with the issuer. Hey, people, you saw this letter of marque correspond with how the system structure looking at you as a vessel. You understand? So them have give some little other private man like you, give them licenses now. You understand? For capture any vessel out there. So this is what a letter of marque is, boy, people. I'm just a browse, cause me only hear a conversation with this Maroon Chief Curry. I'm not there for bash Chief Curry or knocking. I just like clarity. You understand? And these guys always talk about indigenous right as if the so-called indigenous people where him think him know or him is a part of should have any specific rights. So I will not try to tell me. So no one excuse human rights. Human rights are divine and fundamental. It not come from no United Nation. And this is the problem. You people keep running to one organization to the other, from one organization to the other, ask for this and ask for that. And all of these organizations are just that artificial construct, foreign, corporate, body politic. That's what all of these things are. You understand? And they are there to mislead the people, to give some other people the right that belong to some people that was there before. Why don't we hear the term Aborigines and Aboriginal? Why it only apply to the Australian? How other people not curious? And why is it a man that is not first people or original people or look as I can come here and claim indigenous status in our land? And we can easily do their research and find their point of origin. This is why I question these legality and stand on law, the human right, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Them thing that is inherent. So when a man talk about United Nation, watch me. That is just the gift where you guys are trying, present, and a them thing that bring the divide. If we're all man on this earth, then the human rights govern. This is where the Bill of Rights take action or come into play. My opinion, I'm no legal scholar, no, not like that. And we have a document called the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom, which was ascended by the Governor General, who is the governing head of state of this land. And that is actually our Bill of Rights here. And when people bring up that document, you'll see all the rights where a free man have. And you will see all the restrictions of any government. It's right there. That's the contract. However, who does it apply to? Who can enforce this contract? Definitely not a subjected or subdued person, I don't think. If you apply to the free man, because the free man alone can exercise divine rights, divine freedom, separate and distinct from the gay rights, the indigenous rights. These are all secular. But the moment you're subjected in that capacity then it applies. So when these guys out here are speak and I speak articulately, eloquently, and hey, you can't represent a man like I in no way, shape, or form. Can no guy out there speak or try to represent a man like I. So gratitude again for just this time and moment, information we share. And we'll probably touch on this thing again. Yeah, man, we definitely touch on them kind of topic here, cause is each one teach the other. And we not necessarily have no interest in being fooled with a bunch of words when you think, say, we don't know how to break down what is being said. You know what I mean? You all are playing games out there with the people. But it's a good thing when none of y'all can represent a man like I. A free man, sovereign in this capacity. Yeah, man. And, rightfully so. Because I've earned it. Solitary state of condition. You need to learn it. Gratitude, people. Talk to them, Sir Anthony.
To God be the glory. Grand rising a walk Indian nation in America. Salute Nestorian king, men, clan, mothers, farmers, fisher folks, causeway, fisher folk, grand rising, free people. To God be the glory.
Give thanks. Yeah, man. Treaty and term. Negotiation begins in the autumn of 1669 between the Spanish representative Gaspar de Bracamonte, Count of Penaranda, with William Godolphin, envoy extraordinary from England. Wow. The original language of the treaty was in Latin, and the complete English title is A Treaty for the Composing of Differences, Restraining of the Depredations, and Establishing of Peace in America between the Crown of Great Britain and Spain. So, what, you know what I mean? You wanna go back to your Great Britain or you wanna go back to your Spain and love America? People wanna see what it is. Concluded at Madrid, the 18th day of July, in the year, the 8th to the 18th day of July, in the year of our Lord, 1670. Saying at 1670, Spain, I said them give Britain, America, my land. So who gives Spain, America? For Spain cannot talk. You said it's the same thing them doing with their corporations. It's the same kind of trickery. And then them have agents where them put in them school for teach them a bunch of mess. And then place them in the community, like in the Maroon community. And you just pop out of nowhere. How much youth in the Maroon community can say them and Chief Curry grew up together? How much of them? And the moment our bright youth from a community is taken away and become institutionalized, most of them change, if not all. Most of them change, them perspective change, everything change. Yeah, man. The ones them were used to live in a bush and them have to use pit toilet. When them get into the city and get into the ray and the uptown ones them take them wet because them bright. And them now for go back to the rural setting no more. Them the uptown where them have car ride. Listen, them change. When them super bright, they say them carry them in a politics, them change. Once them get inside of that system, they can't change that system. That system change everyone. That system break everyone. The few people where not compromise themselves with this system are the people them when now go brag about wealth. Yeah, man. Spain also confirmed England was to hold all territories in the Western Hemisphere. What? That it had already settled. However, the treaty did not define what areas were settled. England took formal control of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands after the treaty was signed. This is why I say none of our thing wanna deal with apply to me, because I man is here before. I am who you call the Aborigine, first people, so-called Negroid stock. And all of you other people that are foreigner here, come say I, including all Africans and their descendants. This is why you hear Steve Curry catch himself now and I move away from being African and African descendant. So he want to be Indian now. You understand? And I use some little psychological word play. You understand? Because they were trained for that. Remember, I'm telling you about the Jesuit, brethren. Those priests are no normal priests and don't think, sir, when we talk is like one form, like any other organization, them have them military arm, them have them spiritual arm, them have them, either say, academical arm, them have all of these things. So you will have a man where he is a Jesuit, but him is not one of the, either say, soldier then. You get me? Him is probably a scholar. So him a go write things that influence people's mind. You get me? While the soldier will come in and remove the one them ways an obstacle to their agenda. And we have all different kind of people come here amongst us. God, this is their promise. This is their milk and honey. This is their, you'd say, nirvana. Now we become their commodity. We become their product. We become their business. We as a people are now their commerce. That's what it is. So for the people them will say they're woke, we say give thanks. You know what I mean? But them kind of information yeah, we don't mind look at and share so the brighter people amongst us can take it up. So the learned people amongst us can really approach it from our perspective, the perspective of the first people here in what is now called America. The Aborigines here who do not have a voice. You understand? So when them say indigenous, you'll never see us as Aborigine be projected within the indigenous sphere, within their imagery. It's always someone that is foreign to this land. And this is called usurpation. And it's happening even now. Even now. However, them can check out these things, because it's a very interesting read. And I bring them thing here forward that people can choose, People can just choose for question things. What is this letter of marquee? Or some would say letter of mark. You know what I mean? But letter of marquee and reprisal was a government license. Who are the people who are required to be licensed? It's a specific group of people who must be licensed in order to operate. Now, the free man is immune from those things, not exempt. So our view is a little bit different. You know what I mean? I'm not exempt. I'm immune, untouchable in a positive way, not in the way of the Dallas. Yeah, man. And whatever entity we place out there, now that entity is exempt. Step by step, people. Step by step. Yeah, man. Again, we just share information, shine light on it, and with say gratitude. Talk to them again, Sir Anthony.
To God be the glory. Grand rising of U.N.D.R.I.P, Indian nation in America. Salute Nestorian king, men, clan, mothers, farmers, fisher folks, causeway, fisher folk, grand rising, free people. To God be the glory.
Give thanks, sire. Give thanks. Gratitude. Free people. The brave may fall, but never yield. And we say bold and brave, firm and strong. You have to know the basics here, man. Because I hear a lot of rhetoric are going out there. People are talk, people ready for going arms, people listen. This is why I use YouTube. For me, YouTube is public notice. Don't miss it. It's public notice.